It's been really long that I've posted another video on this channel of mine. That's because I'm expecting with my baby number 2, my second baby, and it's my 3rd trimester now. So as the days are passing, it's getting a little difficult to sit for longer periods of time. So I have reduced my appointments, and I do the free readings or the live readings less often, but I really miss them. Today's video is about Sushant. I will be channeling Sushant Singh Rajput, and why I waited for so long to make this video, to do this, was mainly because I wanted to know the real purpose behind it, or I wanted to be very sure that I should be doing this or I need to do this. Firstly, I wanted to know whether it is necessary, but of late I've been chatting with him a lot. He's been around, and he's this beautiful energy, very beautiful old soul. And when I say chatting, I mean I talk to him through mostly automatic writing and also otherwise. So when we are talking about that, I would like to explain what I do and how I do it. I am a psychic medium, and I channel loved ones who have crossed over, angels, guides, intergalactic beings, aliens, everything from the light, in general. And I do it through various means. I do a lot of automatic writing. That's how I started channeling, and that's something I still go to when I need to get some specific dates or a name or something. So writing helps a lot when you have to be specific. And I'm also clairvoyant and clairaudient, which means I can see visuals and pictures given by spirits, and I can also hear them. I do not hear them like how you are hearing my voice right now, but I hear them mostly inside my head, and I see the images through my third eye. So they are also like a movie or a set of pictures or a PPT playing in your head. So it's all sorts of things, and I also feel them around me, so I'm clairsentient as well. So it's a beautiful way of communication. They give me all sorts of messages in various forms, and then I try my best to get the meaning out of them and give it to whoever is sitting in front of me, whether it's a big audience or a particular client. So that's what I do, and today's video is about Sushant. I will be channeling him, so it's sort of an interview of Sushant in the afterlife. And the questions I will be taking today, I will be answering on behalf of him, are chosen by himself, because he was very clear with one thing, that he doesn't want to increase the chaos that is already going on in the country around his death. So I will try my best to make that possible. So that was one more reason why I delayed this channeling video for so long, because I needed to know why I'm going to do this. So he confirmed that he wants me to be his voice, like many other out there. I'm not the only one. So being a medium, I would love to be his voice, and I guess he deserves to be heard. So let's do this. Okay, so I will be taking a few deep breaths. Sushant is here already. I can feel him around me. I don't see him with my naked eye, although there are mediums out there who do that, but I do not as yet. So he has given me a set of 10 questions, very precise 10 questions, which I will be taking one by one, and he will be answering it, and I will be translating everything that his spirit gives me into words or descriptions as best as I can. When I talk about his energy, since the day I felt his energy for the first time around me after his death, it has always been full of love. He has so much love for one and all, not just me. I'm no special person. I can sense it because I've taught myself to do that. Everybody can do that. So he's this beautiful old soul with a lot of love to offer. So let's get into the questions. The first and foremost question that he himself chose to answer is, how did I die, or how did he die? The answer that I got, or I'm again getting, he's around me and he's still helping me out to explain it further, is clearly it was not suicide. He did not do that to himself, and he wants this message to be out there that he didn't do that. So that's one thing. Second thing that he mentioned about his death is there is a lot of chaos, which is very clear, which is obvious now with everything in the social media or around his death. We all know that. But in reality also, there's a lot of chaos, a lot of people involved before the time of his death, involved in a negative manner, trying to influence him, creating issues in his life. Also, he's giving me something else. And he mentions 6 months prior to his death. So that was the time when it got more and more bad. But there's one thing he has told me before, and right now also he's telling me to tell it to you all, that it was not a planned decision of taking his life, with like other people. I'm trying to give you all as much as I'm getting, trying to be precise with everything he's speaking. So he's saying it was not like a planned murder, if I want to use the term murder. I mean, it was sort of like a momentary thing, like a lot of people didn't know that things would take this turn, if that makes sense. So it was something happening in a fit of a moment or something like that. But yes, there were conspiracies around him, but not exactly about killing him, but it went gross and bad. Yes, so that's all he's giving me about his death. He does not want to go more deep into that. So he says it's for my own protection, and he says things will take its turn, for the universal good. So that's all I got for the first question. You can see me often looking down is because I'm holding my journal here. If you can see, I have all the questions written down. They are all given to me by Sushant. Question number 2. How was my life before death? How was Sushant's life before death? He uses, and he's actually making me feel breathless because he has so much to talk. He believes in communication. So he uses the word beauty when it comes to his life. He says it was not that he didn't struggle. He did struggle. He was very hardworking. He put in so much effort into everything that he did since he was a child. He was taught that way, is what he's saying. He says he got what he wanted. You know, there are a lot of people who struggle a lot but do not reach their destination because maybe that's not what they're destined to do, or there can be different things. But he says, so luck was on his side and he could achieve a lot in a few years time, which is visible. So he says he's been lucky, his life was beautiful, and he got a chance to change a lot of people's lives, you know, if that makes sense. A lot of people's lives were changed by him through his little gestures, and also his own life. He could follow a lot of dreams. That is not the case with a lot of struggling actors in the industry, but he was blessed, he says. Blessed and beautiful was his life before death. That's how he describes it. Question 3. How was my mental health? Okay, so he's actually smiling right now because he says a lot of people believe that they know a lot about mental health, but they don't. And there are also a lot of people out there who do not want to know about mental health because it's easy. They do not want to take the responsibility of even people around him who might be struggling, So when it comes to his own, Sushant's mental health, he says, I had my issues. That's what he's giving me. I had my issues. I was going through depression for some time. But he's also making me feel like the medications that were given to him were mostly to keep stress at bay. Also, he wants to clarify the stress that he got in the life here was not because of his work generally. It was because of the inability to emotionally connect to people, which he feels is a necessity that should be taught to every single person, and that's his one of his strong messages, because he says people do not connect. It's very difficult to see through them or touch their hearts, if that makes sense. So that's one thing that he made it difficult for him, the connection, to have people around him, to have that strong bonding. Other than that, he is not mentioning that he was going through from severe depression or any other mental illness. The next question he wants to answer that he has chosen is, how was my crossing over? For everyone who has never heard the term before, crossing over means the journey of crossing or leaving the earth plane and reaching, you may call it heaven or the afterlife or God or the source. So coming to Sushant's crossing over, he says there was shock involved, and see, it's actually very quick. It's not that they literally have to take a flight and reach some place and it would take some time. It doesn't happen that way, because for us it's very difficult to understand, because we always talk about linear time, or in hours or days and so on. But in the spirit world, that's not how things work. They're quite quick for us. Yes, so he says shock was there quite a bit, but then he says then mom came. His mom was there to welcome him. So he says there was shock, but then mom came in. So he says it was quick, and I got to handle or make sense of what was happening to me very quickly. Let's see what's next. What do I miss most in the afterlife? And he's actually, I can feel him around my right side. That's why I'm looking that side. I don't actually see him, but it's almost like his energy is very strong. That's the side I mostly see spirits on or feel them. So he is actually showing me the gesture of being hugged. Physical touch. That's something he misses a lot. And he's also mentioning the ability, the physical ability to change people's lives. You know, when, and he's actually trying to explain, when we are here, we are in this physical plane, we feel that we do not have enough powers. We feel powerless most of the times. We feel that we are just on, we mostly because we run on autopilot, and we are, the slaves of destiny and luck and all those things. And we do not realize how important is our free will, that how much difference we can make in this life with the physical body that we have. Even a smile or a hug, he says. And he says, so we don't realize when we are alive, when we reach the spirit plane, that's when we get to know what we don't have, what we miss. The physical touch, the beauty of hugging a person, the feeling of warmth, he says, that's beauty, you know. And he's actually making me feel very emotional, almost like I'm getting a warm hug from him, which is very beautiful. I sometimes fall short of words when spirits give me these visuals and feelings, because it's very different to feel it and to explain it, you know, than to explain it. I wish I could I could be more articulate and make you all feel how beautiful it is, how beautiful those visuals are. So the two things that he misses is the physical touch, the feeling of warmth of a hug and a smile and a handshake, he says, you know, patting someone's back, and the physical ability, the things that you can do in this physical plane to change people's life, to bring happiness to people's life. In spirit realm, it's quite difficult. It needs a lot of effort, he says. So the next thing that he wants to answer is how are things in afterlife? So it's his description. He says things are a lot quicker. Like I can manifest things as soon as I think. So it's a very quick. It's a very quick thing. Which he says, I wish I had that power when I was alive. And also, what else, Sushant? He says things are much more easier. There is less complexity in terms of thoughts, things, in terms of connection. It becomes difficult when he has to connect to earth or to the physical plane, you know. That's the difficult part. But other than that, things are much more easier and quicker. Okay, now he wants to answer the question about misconceptions about him when he was alive, you know, when he was Sushant Singh Rajput. He says a lot of people around him, so he's saying two things. He had a lot of people around him which could see his need or his, what's the word? His willingness to help, you know, from his staff to a lot of people around him, which is also there on the social media, that they could sense his willingness to help, that he has a big heart. That made him happy that they get it. That gave him satisfaction. But also at the same time, there were numerous people who thought that he was arrogant. He was egotistical and he was self-centered. And he's laughing when he says half of the things that he said or talked about didn't make sense to them. So that's why he had very less friends. So the misconceptions that he would want to clear amongst people is that he did not think that he was superior, at least in this life. Instead, he wanted connection, which he missed. He wanted to know, he wanted to acquire as much knowledge as possible. He was a little different, he says, or maybe weird. That's the word he's using. So, but he wished that he could show his heart to more people. Misconceptions about his death now. He's just touching on the things that he has already covered, but he wants to clarify that it was not something that was planned from a very long time. That's one thing. He's saying that again. Secondly, anything else? He says a lot of people got dragged into the chaos for no reason, which is something he's very sad about. Because it's almost like opening a can of worms. So he's not liking what's happening around his death, but he also understands that's how things work in the earth plane. So he's not liking the fact that a lot of people are being blamed or being dragged in who are nowhere related. Yes, they were related to him in some sort of way, but so many people being dragged into the whole conspiracy theory is it's far away from reality, he says. Okay, question number 9 is my or his contract in this lifetime. One of his biggest contracts in this lifetime, and he's giving me time so that I can explain to you all what is a contract. A spiritual contract is something that we agree to, almost like a written legal contract, before we take birth, before we choose this life, that these are the things that we will be experiencing, even the bad ones. It won't make sense to a lot of people that this is bullshit. No, I did not sign up for this, but that's a reality. That's for our own growth. So we decide from our parents to the kind of life we have, to the struggles, to even the very bad experiences. Trust me, it's very difficult to digest, but that's how spiritual contracts work. So one of Sushant's major contracts was the way he would go, his death. It had to be in a certain, what is the term? Complex manner, with least clarity, so that, again the can of worms, so that he brings light, he sheds light on a lot of bad things happening in the industry, around his life, in humanity, amongst people, and in general. That was his contract. He had signed up for this. I wish I could send this message to his loved ones. He always mentions, when I'm talking about his family, he always mentions his dad. Not that he doesn't miss his sisters, but he says he's having a hard time. His dad is having a hard time, which is obvious. So I wish I could pass this on to him that it was all planned by him from the time he was born. So to him it makes sense. It's very difficult for a loved one to know or understand these concepts, but I don't know if this would reduce any pain they are going through. So that was his one of the major contracts, spiritual contracts in this lifetime. And he was also here to learn a lot, which was very obvious from the life that he spent, from having a telescope to he was a very intelligent person. But not every intelligent person wants to know about the universe or bigger things or the afterlife and aliens and stuff like that. But that was also because of the lifetimes that he had spent before coming here as Sushant Singh. So his soul was here to grow, and he says he was successful even in this 34 years, in this short journey of 34 years. He was good at it, he says. So he feels good about it, that he could know as much as he could. So that was another important contract of Sushant Singh in this lifetime. Now we've reached our last question, which is not a question, which is Sushant's message to one and all who is watching this. He's actually making me very emotional right now. It's almost like this beautiful soul wants to hug everyone who is watching this. Trust me, I can feel it. I can feel his energy wanting to show his love. He says spirits do feel handicapped, if that's the right term to use here, because they feel that they are incapable of showing their love. And this is not just for his family, his loved ones, his friends. It's to one and all who is watching this right now. He's hugging each one of you. He says, do not waste your time into judgment. Make use of the gifts that you have. Whatever you might be doing. And he is saying this, with very strongly. Whatever work you might be doing, whether you are a salaried person, whether you are having a life full of struggle, try your best. Give it your more than your 100% to experience love and give love to people. And I can't express this the way he is saying. It's almost like he wants this to get inside people's head, people's heart. Stop using your head so much, he says. It is required when you need to take strategic decisions, big corporate stuff and legal stuff and all those things. When you need your head, but most of the time you need your heart, which you're not using enough, he says. So I hope that makes sense to you all. That's his message. He says, smile more, hug more, don't lose a chance. Do not hesitate whether you are a man or a woman. He says, teach your children to love, teach your children to feel, to express. He says he wished if he could marry, and then someday, if you marry or not, whatever the case might be, he says, if someday he could be a father, that's one thing he would teach his child, girl or a boy, to express, to love. So that's his message. I hope I was able to get everything that Sushant wanted to express out there. This was something that I've been, pushing aside, not wanting to do it for many reasons, because I didn't know whether it's just me, my own ego thinking that I should be channeling Sushant, because a lot of people are doing that. So that was not something that I wanted to do because of just that reason. Thankfully, I could connect to him and finally get his messages out there. He's right by my side, giving you all a huge, warm, bear hug, sending you all kisses. And yes, on that note, let's hope things around his death clear out and the truth comes out. I wish for that. And one thing that he wants to add before we close, he wants everybody to know he is at peace. He chose this. So don't worry, he says. So that's all, guys. Thank you so much for watching us, me and Sushant here. And in case you want to know more about what I do and how I do, in case you need to book a session with me, you can log on to thelovelylife.in for India. Stay safe and stay happy.